scratch it up.
But in case they don't, when you're not making, robots to get everyone drunk, you're also better known for MusicBrainz.
Yes.
And so if anybody is not quite working with this yet, because they should be, tell us a little bit about that.
All right, so MusicBrainz is effectively Wikipedia for music. It's a structured storage of information about music. We have none of the music itself, but we know which artists exist, what they've released, when they released it, where they released it, the barcodes, acoustic fingerprints, where their YouTube channels are, where their Twitter feeds are, and lots of ancillary information all around it. It is an open source project, so you can download the source code. It's an open data project, so you can download the data, and the core data is well over a gigabyte large now. And we practice pretty much open data, open source, and open finances as well. So the MetaBrainz Foundation, a California 501c3 nonprofit, runs everything, and you can tell how little money we make, and you can tell how little money I earn to go have the pleasure of running this operation. And I can tell you that the president of the RAAA makes about 37 times our annual budget as his personal salary that he gets, and we put a lot of energy into the music industry, and I think the RAAA's efforts are quite dubious. So there's this gigantic disparity between what we do and what other organizations do. The open source community uses our stuff quite frequently. Our customers are Google, Amazon, BBC, Last.fm, Spotify, AOL, and they pay us a license fee to use our data in a commercial context. We also get a lot of support from end users, donations, Google's ARM, the Open Source Programs Office, as well as Summer of Code, support our engineers and students working for us. So we got a lot of support from the community, and we have quite a bit of fun doing so.
And so you've mentioned open there a number of times in a number of ways, but open seems to be going through somewhat of an evolution. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of cool and it's interesting. We can share, and people who can't afford can find information. That's great, and create new things and share that on brilliant open licenses. However, when larger companies may not wish to pay you a license, but they can still see stuff because it's nice and transparent, nice and open. How can artists or creators protect themselves in a certain way? Because shutting the whole thing down also seems a little bit against that ethic.
Right, so there's many different layers in which you can participate with things. So MusicBrainz makes this data available, so the most common model is that an open source company that is just, a startup company that is just starting out, and they don't have a lot of money, that might be a couple of guys hacking in a garage furiously, they have a dream, they're pursuing this, they don't have to pay us anything. But they contact us and say, hey, we're just hacking on this stuff, and we just want to get started, we don't have a lot of money, what can we do? And my first response to them is, we're not interested in fleecing you guys. We're really interested in helping you guys build a business, help make the music industry better. So go forth and create your things. And when you guys get to the point where you guys are earning money, we should really talk, because when you guys are earning money, you should be supporting us. And that sort of gets this very baffled response back from people that are starting things up and said, well, wait a minute. All right, you guys are awesome. I'll call you in a little while. A lot of people never call back because they never really make it to the next step. But the people that do call back and that do make it, they're really quite happy to say, MusicBrainz was part of this. Thank you for making this happen. Now we're going to take a license from you guys and give you guys money and support you in the things that we've done. So just because you open something doesn't necessarily mean that you're never going to make money from it again. And in particular, with our drink mixing robot that is still attracting people and pouring drinks, people are asking us, but the Chinese, they're going to come and rip your shit off tomorrow. They're going to have bartenders on the market in a week. What are you going to do about that? Well, it turns out that the Chinese, they really like copying things that are wildly successful. And as much as I would say that bartender is successful here tonight, it doesn't mean that it's going to pop up on the Chinese radar anytime soon. If we're starting to make lots and lots of money, sure, they will come and try and rip us off. But even in that context, there's lots of possibilities where we can build a product, and we can, more importantly, build a community of people around that product that can help us build better product. So for instance, with this particular machine, we're getting the machine to the point where all of the software that's in the hardware that's hard to update, we really want to get that right. But the software layer that sits on top of it that you can update over the internet, it's not that important. Once we get machines out into the field, people can start actually hacking on these machines, and they can send us patches. That makes us more powerful. That makes us that puts us in the driver's seat, effectively, that allows us to have control our own destiny over our own product. So the community of people that are around us that believe in us to produce an open product, that we are honest with them. We are going to produce, when we find a problem, we say, oh, sorry, we cocked that one up. We need to fix this. Here's a fix for it. Or somebody else might give a fix for us. The involvement of the community allows us to actually build a better company that actually makes it very difficult for a Chinese company to rip us off unless they build an absolute exact clone. But even then, when they build an absolute exact clone, there's this stigma in the community about, oh, you bought the Chinese thing? I'm not going to help you with that, right? Buy it from Rob, buy it from Pierre, support Party Robotics, we're in your camp, we'll help you out. So for all of these things, for all these open source solutions there's a lot of people that would say, I'm afraid of what you might do. I'm afraid I might give up complete control. I might never make another buck. Well, that's not exactly true. If you are a bastard about it and you don't treat your community well, you're probably not going to make a buck about it. But if you can treat your community with respect and you can involve them, they will actually help you to stay on top of your business. They will help you to make your product better. And then they will make open source work for you. You just have to do the right things.
Does that work if you get your community drunk?
Well, getting the community drunk does really help a lot. But actually, in a very strange sense, people had been telling us for a long time, when you guys start doing beta testing on your drinkbot, please invite me. But actually, let me tell you, a quick anecdote here that when you have a drinkbot that's making bad drinks and it's not debugged, it makes bad drinks. How many of you guys like bad drinks? Yeah, I don't either. But there's this booze foul, right? You're not allowed to waste booze. So what do? You suck it up and drink the bad drink. So it's not all it's cracked up to be. But when you actually have a bot that makes good drinks, things are fun.
And so is your liver insured? Is that part of your business plan?
Sorry?
Is your liver insured? Is that part of your business plan?
It should be. But now that I moved to Barcelona, there is health insurance in the plan, so yes, now that's covered. Now my business partner who still lives in California, might have to worry about him a little bit more.
And so how did you go from making a fantastic resource for people who like to work with music to making a party robot?
It wasn't my dream, to be honest, but my business partner Pierre and I, we've been building random crazy Burning Man projects, Look at My Balls, Dust, Blink and Wheel, and a bunch of other projects that are really fun, that have really engaged people on the playa for many years. And we have this drive to deliver something. And there's a lot of people that just, I'm done with this, I'm gonna go home now, I'm gonna sleep, or I'm gonna go have fun with my friends, where we're going to choose to actually stay to finish and deliver a product. So this synergy that we have, again, there's a few relationships I have in my life. My wife is one of them. And Pierre, my business partner, we call each other wifey because we do bicker like husband and wife in a lot of senses. We have this awesome dynamic. When it works, it is really awesome. And we really strive to actually deliver things. So when he approached me and said, let's build a drinkbot. Let's go do this because we can do this. We had no idea what a long road it would be for us to actually get there. But it's teamwork, and I'm absolutely enthralled, and I love having awesome teamwork. So that's how I got roped into this, and one step after another, and when you actually build a project, and then people are getting drunk with it, and they're just pouring praise over you, and they're so excited, you can't just walk away. You just have to keep going. So here I am.
And so how will this drinkbot work on a commercial basis? Will there be a way to connect apps in the way that a customer might be able to pay at a bar using their mobile devices? Or which way would that work if I was a business and I thought, yep, that's what I want on my bar to get my student faculty in a good mood?
So this really depends on exactly who the people are that we team up with to deliver these products into a commercial sphere. What you see there is I did a lot of tinkering with it. I did a lot of tweaking, and I had to execute a couple of SQL statements to change things. So it's not really a commercial product yet, but it's something that's ripe for early adopters, pretty much like you guys, right? You guys wouldn't mind hacking on these things, tinkering with it to tweak it a little bit to get the right drink. Beyond that, we really have to find a partner that's willing to actually offer us a distribution channel to go build a product, and then they will tell us, it needs to do this. I need to be able to stand at 10 feet away and point a hose at it, hose it out, and it still needs to work after that. All right, that's a fair requirement, right? That machine can't do that right now. So it depends on where they're coming from, what it is that they want to do with it. So we'll have to see. We've done a lot of research. We know we went to a bartenders convention in New Orleans, and man, those people can drink. It's
I
really
never
quite
get to
impressive.
go to those conventions.
Pardon me?
Well, I never get to go to the bartending conventions.
If you value your liver, don't go there. That's really dangerous. But we took our tablets with us, and we looked smart, and went to these events and said, "Hey, look what we built. Do you guys want to see our robot that makes cocktail?" And the bartenders, they're like, "Huh? What? Oh, this is really interesting." They looked at our video, and we kept it really short so their attention span wasn't going to wander off. And they looked at it, "Wow, that is really amazing." "Not in my bar. Absolutely not. No way." Because they felt immediately threatened. So we really got that if you have an establishment where bartending culture is king, you're not going to be welcomed. But we anticipate conferences, we anticipate nightclubs, party rental companies, so a wedding. Like, how many times have you gone to a wedding and you just got champagne or some beer and like you wished for something more fancy? Raise your hand. Fancy things at weddings?
Yeah, people like
Only
fancy
two
things.
of you guys?
Well, there's 2 fancy people here, that'll do.
All right, but can you imagine going to a wedding where there's this awesome machine where you can choose one of 40 drinks and it's just there for a day and then the catering company hauls it off the next day? So we've got a lot of positive feedback, and the catering company that was making food for the hackers downstairs, they were quite keen to find out what we're up to, because they said, yeah, we can put this to use. So.
And so what sort of technologies did you use to create this? We had a brief discussion earlier about the cultural divide between Raspberry Pi and Arduino. I don't know if anybody is on one side or the other for that kind of battle. I don't know, I was at Open Tech earlier.
All right, raise your hand if you're a Raspberry Pi person. All right, raise your hand if you're an Arduino person. Ooh, evenly split, maybe a little bit more heavily on the Arduino side. Fantastic.
Wow.
So for us, we're very much an Arduino development shop. They're fantastic little devices. And really, realistically speaking, since we build our own boards, we're not strictly actually using Arduinos anymore, but we're using the components that go into Arduinos. But that's splitting hairs, right? We're not really supporting, we've bought tons of Arduinos and we've blown up tons of Arduinos trying to make these drinkbots. But realistically, in order to have a machine, and one of our goals was to have a machine that had no user interface, it had no buttons. And if you look at our machine, it doesn't have any buttons. There's nothing we could say, I want to drink right now. You have to pull your phone out of your pocket, or maybe a tablet that's attached to the machine. And the way to do that is you need higher level functions. You need a TCP/IP stack, you need a web server, you need a database. And the Raspberry Pi brings all of that for $35. It is an absolutely fantastic platform for us to build things on top. So we married a number of Arduinos and a Raspberry Pi. So that machine that is over there actually has a total of 8 computers inside, well, 9 computers inside of it. There are 8 Atmel chips, so call it 8 Arduinos, 1 for each pump, 1 that we call a router that routes the signals from the Raspberry Pi to each one of the dispensers. And there's a Raspberry Pi itself. So a lot of people would say that's complete and utter nonsense overkill. Why would you need so much with so many machines? But it turns out that by having these machines, we can build a simpler architecture and we have fewer cables. And if you look at it from the side and you can peer into one side, you can see that it's very simple. There's these network cables that run through it. And had we not actually had 9 computers and we had 1 computer, we'd have massive cables that would just be hard to work with and it would look ugly. So with this, we can actually achieve a simple design that's reasonably pleasant to look at. So we balanced Arduinos and Raspberry Pis quite a bit, and we're happy with the design that we came up with, and it works well.
And so,
cheers, right?
Looking at the design that you've come up with now, is this, we talked about this a little bit on the panel yesterday about pushing a hack into a product, making this appealing to a wider audience. So was that part of your decision making? I mean, how do you make, if you were hooking this up in your garage, would it look anything like that?
Absolutely. So there is a very distinct difference between having something that we can make work for our parties and something that somebody else can use, that they can unwrap out of the box, set up, plug in, and they can start making their own drinks. And there's a giant gulf, and that gulf between hacking and product is huge. And really, it isn't very much fun. And so a lot of our design decisions have gone into how can we build something that we can arguably support in the field, because nobody likes to do support. And the theory is, since we're an open source company, we really prefer not to have an 800 number that somebody can ring us up and say, it's broken, fix it, right? The hope is that it's an open source product so that people can go to one of our forums and say, it's broken, how do I fix it? And then somebody else in the community, not necessarily us, will step up and say, oh, you just need to do blah, 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 change your Etsy hosts file and da, 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 and it's gonna work for you, right? So that changes the dynamics of the business model as well. So there are really quite a few things that we thought about and that influence design on how we can make things that have fewer parts that could break, fewer things that need to be configured, modified, and tinkered with, and still make a product that's really enticing and sexy to users.
Mm-hmm. And so in a way, is there a skills level associated with this bartending machine?
Sorry?
Is there a skills level associated with this bartending machine? I mean, my mother would be horrified at the idea of having to go on a forum and learn from someone how to change some code and make something work.
Yes, yes. I mean, this machine clearly is not for everyone. And we've had people we've had a crew of 3 people pretty much all evening that were telling people, okay, go sign in the bartender Wi-Fi access point, and when the sign-in screen comes, go order your drink. So we have to go through this process, and so it really isn't this magical solution that just makes drinks for everyone, right? The first machine we had 10 buttons on it, and you could choose which drink you wanted. You press the button, and it made you a drink, right? It was very simple, and it used these arcade buttons. Everyone could use that, but it doesn't have enough versatility in it. So you will always have this trade-off of having something that's simple and that everyone can use, and then something that's flexible and complicated that makes a lot of people happy. So, again, all of these are trade-offs, and we've had hours and hours of discussions over whether something should be like this and something should be like that. And like I said, we call each other wifey, because a lot of these discussions were not just simple discussions, they were heated discussions, and a lot of arguments, a lot of shouting, and a lot of walking out, and a lot of being pissed off at each other. So
Sounds dramatic.
it was, but you know what? It's all fueled by passion, right? And if the people have the same goal and we're dedicated to getting to that goal, good things can come of it.
Mm-hmm. And so would you push hackers who maybe go on weekend hacks or go to hack spaces to take their hobby and just push it that little bit further? I mean, we did talk about this a little bit on the panel yesterday, but when you go from hacker to product maker, you also become business person. Do you have to wear a tie? Do you have to talk to a bank? Oh, is it going to be boring? Obviously not.
So the tie is clearly not an issue here, and it's very rare for me to actually even be wearing trousers. Usually I'm wearing shorts. So
right.
I'm redefining myself as a business person, and I can walk into the BBC and they will take me serious. They will actually listen to what I have to say. But that's been a long road to get to the point where people will respect me regardless of what I look like, right? But to encourage people to go and actually push their products from making hacks and so forth and into products is something that shouldn't be taken lightly, because it's very easy to get to a point and promise people something and then realize, oh, well, that's not fun. I don't actually want to do that. So I think the only piece of advice I have, and I think this came of the panel that we had yesterday, where I realized that maybe what needs to happen is that we need to actually have a hack day that's not a hack day per se, but it's a graduate level hack day where it's a business event, where we take the people that have come up with successful hacks that have this question mark above their head, could this be a product? And take those people and walk through a series of steps and say, is there more, right? Unless you have somebody that actually has business sense in your team, maybe not.
So you need to find a business wifey.
Yes.
Okay.
That's me.
Your business wifey.
That's me. A business wifey who can't match his socks. So.
And so, I mean, there are occasionally dark tea times of the soul, and as you say, drama and arguments and debate and passion. Would you trade any of that for this experience?
No. No, absolutely fantastic. I love it. I'm fueled by really amazing relationships, and I've got a really large group of friends, and this large group of friends, there are some people that don't have very deep relationships, and they seem to bounce from one relationship. And when I use the term relationship, I'm not necessarily meaning boyfriend-girlfriend type of relationships, but work relationships and casual friend relationships. They never have these deep connections, and I seem to form deep connections rather easily, and these things are the things that make me get up in the morning that I really would like a vacation, but no, actually, I'm going to keep hacking on it because this relationship wants me to do this, and that relationship wants me to do that, and we create things that make people happy. That drives me forward. So I really, no, I'm not going to trade that at all.
All right then. Well, thank you very much for telling us more about
I
this.
appreciate your time. Thank you.
No problem.